Donnarumma.
Yeah, but again, United would need to sell a goalkeeper before they bring somebody else in.
Big statement for Onana of not even being in the squad and being fit against Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, big statement, but Ruben Amorim said that had nothing to do with a potential transfer. It was just that he preferred the other goalkeepers that he had. There are reports this afternoon in Italy, not from Sky Italy, suggesting that Inter Milan may be interested in taking Onana back. I think if Onana was to leave Manchester United, and there's no indication that he's going to, we don't have any information that he is going to leave Manchester United at all. But if you're a United fan who's desperate for Donnarumma to come in, the first thing that would need to happen is for a goalkeeper to leave Manchester United. And I think that would be the same situation at Manchester City. But Manchester City have signed James Trafford as well, and he played really well at the weekend, and he's got a massive future ahead of him.
I think it's going to be a real challenge for Manchester United to do a deal to sign Donnarumma, despite the fact that 99% of Manchester United fans would like a new goalkeeper. I think there was a huge amount of excitement when Andre Onana came in, largely because his distribution at Inter Milan as well, a ball-playing goalkeeper, which they hadn't had for 10 years of David De Gea. And there were promising signs early on, but when you consider some of the mistakes he made in the Champions League in his first season, and yes, there were some good moments that he had last season, but Onana is still clearly a bit of a problem for Manchester United, and it will be on their list of things to do. But heading into this summer, goalkeeper was on the list, but not that high up the list. They've spent a huge amount of money revamping that forward line. I think next on that list is sorting out a central midfielder, but because they've been unable to sell players so far in this transfer window, when you look at major departures, Marcus Rashford's the only one. He's gone out on loan. Yes, Barcelona will pay all his wages, but there's not the money coming in. And because clubs know that Manchester United need to sell players, they want to offload these players, so they need to meet their PSR requirements. It's making United finding it very difficult to sell players for the amount they want. They want £50 million for Alejandro Garnacho, but you're looking at £50 million for a player who's been completely frozen out, who is unlikely to be reintegrated in the first team. These clubs know that United need to sell. They're not getting the money which they thought maybe they would at the start of this summer, which makes it very difficult for them to be in a financial position and in a position in terms of meeting the requirements of the Premier League from a profit and sustainability perspective. They can go in and be aggressive and try to sign a player like Donnarumma or a player like Carlos Baleba.
You know what? I can imagine. I could see Donnarumma playing in the Premier League next season, but I think for it to happen, PSG would have to drop the asking price because, 40, 50 million euros for a player who's only got 1 year left on his contract, a goalkeeper. And also, I think maybe some sort of deal would have to be done regarding his wages. I don't see a Premier League club at the moment paying the kind of money that he's on at PSG and also paying that transfer fee. But who knows? He's a brilliant goalkeeper. And I think it'd be great for the Premier League if he played in the Premier League as well, because he's such a sort of superstar all around the world.
Right. To be happy, Alejandro Garnacho, you've got an update there.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's going to leave Manchester United. Manchester United want to sell him. But the problem is that they value him at £50 million. Now, he only wants to go to Chelsea. Chelsea want to sign him, but they don't think he's worth £50 million. They think he's probably worth almost half that. I think they value him at around £30 million. The reason they think he's only worth £30 million is because they think he has no future at United and he wants to move to Chelsea, so much so that he's turned down a move to Bayern Munich.
Right.
United have been trying to set up a move with Bayern Munich. He said, no, I don't want to go to the German champions. I only want to go to Chelsea. Now, I've been trying to work out why are United asking for £50 million for a player who's not in Ruben Amorim's plans. Well, he's an Argentina international. He's still only 21. And if you look at other players with a similar profile who've moved this summer, they have moved for around £50 million. I'm thinking of players like Jamie Gittins, who's gone to Chelsea, or Madueke, who Chelsea sold to Arsenal. So I can see it from both sides. I can see why United are asking for £50 million, and I can also see why Chelsea are sort of trying their luck a little bit, because they know that he's going to leave and they're trying to get him on the cheap, effectively.
What do you think, Martin? Do you think this is more United just sort of trying to offload a player?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's to do with Garnacho. In normal circumstances, he's worth £50 million. Right. Of anyone's money, he's definitely a really decent player. And if, as I said to you, if he hadn't thrown toys out of the pram, or way back last season when after the the Europa League final, where he only got the last 20 minutes or something like this here. I must admit, I was a wee bit surprised he didn't start the game myself, but that's beside the point. And Manchester United, in many ways, have said, well, he's not in their plans. And therefore, I would, if I was Chelsea, I'd be doing exactly the same.
Yeah.
I'd try and get him as cheaply as I possibly could, and primarily because Manchester United, Amorim has said he doesn't figure. So what are you going to do? Are you going to just let a player see the season out? And if he's made his mind up that he wants to go to Chelsea, well, Chelsea are playing the game.
Several clubs in Italy are interested in signing Rasmus Højlund. AC Milan sporting director Iglitare said that Hojlund is a good option as they push to sign a striker in this window. But, Michael Bridge, they could face some competition from another team in their league.
Yes, Serie A champions Napoli have identified Rasmus Højlund as a potential striker to cover for the injured Romelu Lukaku. That's according to our colleagues in Italy. Now, I can just imagine Antonio Conte, remembering him here. I'm sure he's been knocking on the boardroom at Napoli to get a replacement for Romelu Lukaku. Look, I think this is probably good news for Manchester United. I think it's very clear that Rasmus Højlund doesn't have a future under Ruben Amorim. It was interesting to see whether he did have a future, because in pre-season he played pretty well on their tour of the United States, and he came out in a couple of post-match interviews and said he wanted to stay at the club. Amorim said he was happy with him. However, the match against Fiorentina, the penultimate pre-season friendly, didn't feature. Mason Mount was a false nine. The warning signs were there. And then against Arsenal on Sunday, no Rasmus Højlund, no goals for Manchester United. And you look Manchester United forward line, of course, of Mbumo and Cunha, Sesko on the bench. But it does look like Rasmus Højlund's future lies elsewhere. And as I say, it's probably good news for Man United that there could be a potential bidding war going on now between AC Milan and Napoli.
OK, we'll keep our eyes on that. Meanwhile, Roma are not giving up on a potential deal for Man United forward Jadon Sancho. That's according to Sky in Italy. Roma are keen on him, Michael, but what's holding things up Sancho's then?
He doesn't seem overly keen on them as it stands at the moment. We understand he wants to explore other options. Now, we've been told it's got nothing to do with personal terms. The bid was worth 20 million for Sancho. Now, look, a lot of what we hear from Jadon Sancho, a lot of over the past has been in wages. It's very clear. We talked about the doubt about Højlund's future. It's very clear that Jadon Sancho's future lies away from Old Trafford. I think in an ideal world, they wanted him to stay at Chelsea. That didn't materialise. I mean, I don't know about you, Matt, but I think the option of Roma is a very attractive one. So whether he's got anything else, we know Besiktas were keen, and we know the Besiktas fans messaged him constantly on his social media, please.
5 million comments on a post.
Wow.
Like
Please join us. So we'll just wait and see what materialises over there. But that one is clear. He has absolutely no future at Manchester United. But personally, I thought Roma would have been a good option for him. So we wait and see.
Yeah. All right, what about...
Manchester United outcast Alejandro Garnacho has his heart set on a move to Premier League rivals Chelsea this summer, after falling out of favour under Ruben Amorim. Alejandro Garnacho has backed up his promise after turning down a move to Bayern Munich. The Argentine is surplus to requirements at Manchester United after falling out of favour under Ruben Amorim. However, Garnacho has previously made it clear that it is Chelsea or nobody, as he risks missing out on a move before the end of the window. The Blues are keen to sign the forward, but remain around £10 million away from United's valuation. The Red Devils want around £40 million for the 21-year-old, with Chelsea, thus far, failing to go beyond £30 million. Garnacho is part of the bomb squad at Carrington, which also included Marcus Rashford before his move to Barcelona. He hasn't played a competitive match since going public with his frustrations after starting on the bench in the Europa League final against Tottenham in Bilbao. He said back in May, "Up until the final I played every round helping the team, and today I play 20 minutes, I don't know. The final will influence my decision, but the whole season, the situation of the club. I'm going to try to enjoy the summer and see what happens afterwards." Stamford Bridge bosses have already spent big this summer, signing Jamie Giddens for £48.5 million, spending £65 million on João Pedro, paying £37 million for Jarl Hotto and sanctioning the £30 million transfer of Liam Delap. But Enzo Maresca is still in the market for more firepower and would like Garnacho, with the player similarly desperate to make the move. But the Premier League giants are unable to make any further incomings without sanctioning exits first, which had opened the door for German champions Bayern. The Times report that Bayern explored the possibility of signing Garnacho, but were quickly informed he only wants to sign for Chelsea. Bayern had previously been linked with Christopher Nkunku, who Maresca is happy to sell this summer, but saw a loan offer rebuffed.